Level 1. You remember the moment like a photograph. Slow shutter. All the edges blurred. The scoreboard flipped. Silence where applause should have been. You stand there, heart loud enough to be a drum line. You replay the scene in the quiet hours, the miscalculation, the missed sign, the hinge that snapped under weight. Everyone labels it disaster. You call it the end. But it isn't, not yet, because the story doesn't stop at collapse. It keeps a breath in the chest. You look at the wreckage and you breathe out. What you feel is not just pain, it's a catalog of truth, immediate, sharp, honest. You felt unprepared, you felt exposed, you realized a rule had been broken. That realization is a seed. It's small and stubborn and alive. You don't know it yet, but that seed is the first pulse of something else. Failure was a light turned on, and you're about to walk into the room. Level 2. The hours after are heavy. You shrink, you explain, you avoid questions, you mutter a version that sounds lighter. You try to protect your future self. Shame is a private weather. It drains color. It rewires how you see risk. Friends have opinions. Mentors have theories. Everyone wants to fit the moment into a neat box. You resist neatness. You sit with the facts. What happened exactly? Not the story you tell to make it easier, the raw chain of choices. You trace cause like a map of small mistakes. One bad assumption, one missed boundary, a habit that didn't hold. You feel smaller, but clarity grows in the cold. Clarity is a tool. It is not comfort. You catalog what you can change. You separate what was out of your hands from what was yours to fix. That separation becomes a plan, not for revenge, for repair. Slow, respectful, exact. Level 3. You begin to deconstruct. Failure is a mechanic's manual. Open the hood. What part failed? Why? How did it fail? You interrogate assumptions. You test each belief. You ask the hard question, were you building for the right problem? Often you find you weren't. You built rockets where people needed bridges. You invested energy in the flashy. You ignored the steady cadence. You learn that skill and belief are different things. Skill is what you can do. Belief is what you assume will be true. And belief can lie. You map out the feedback loops. Where did information stop flowing? What signals did you miss because you were loud in your certainty? Failure taught you that certainty is a blindfold. You begin to value small, fast feedback. You build tiny experiments. They hurt less when they fail. They teach faster. You relearn humility. It's not defeat, it's calibration. You tune your approach, one small hypothesis at a time. Each one either proves or disproves you. You collect evidence. You become empirical about your life. It reshapes the way you move. Level 4. Now you reframe failure as signal, not punishment, not verdict, just data with heart. You change the language from "I failed" to "I learned what doesn't work." That shift is quiet but seismic. It gives you permission to iterate. You stop hiding. You start experimenting in public. Vulnerability becomes currency. People respond to it because they see themselves in your mistakes. You begin to tell better stories, one where context matters, one where the fall is part of the arc. You adopt a maker's rhythm, create, measure, adjust, repeat. You practice asking better questions, not "how can I look perfect," but "how can I be honest and useful?" You trade the myth of overnight success for steady accumulation. You embrace micro wins, a small revision, a shorter meeting, a clearer prototype. These are the building blocks. They stack, and the stack grows into something capable of holding you. Level 5. Action replaces paralysis. You set a new rule. Fail fast, learn faster. You run experiments with soft landings. You protect your core values, but not your ego. You cultivate a feedback loop with people who tell truth kindly. You build systems that catch mistakes early, checklists, pre-mortems, daily reviews. You make your process visible. Failure becomes less dramatic when it's part of a predictable workflow. You begin to see pattern recognition sharpen. You start to anticipate breakdowns. You no longer treat each failure as unique. It's the same story, rewritten better. You create contingency paths. If plan A fails, you have B, C, D. That reduces panic. It frees creativity. Pressure becomes fuel instead of poison. You slowly gather momentum. Small wins compound into confidence, not arrogance, a quiet assurance that you can adapt. You're building not just outcomes, but the muscles to pursue them. Resilience is now practiced daily. It's less about surviving one collapse. It's about being architected to keep going. Level 6. Integration happens in unexpected places. You realize your failure gave you unique insight. You learned what the market hides. You learned what people fear to say. You learned how to pick the brittle seams. That knowledge is rare. It's valuable. You start to monetize the lessons, not cynically, usefully. You advise others. You design products with the blind spots fixed. You communicate with brutal clarity. People trust you because you've been through it. Your story becomes credibility. The empathy from your failure converts skeptics. You no longer sell the dream. You sell the process, and process is believable. You notice opportunities you would have missed before because you can see the fracture lines. You make decisions with both caution and courage. That combination is magnetic. It attracts collaborators, not fans. It builds teams that endure. The secret is no longer secret. It's an emergent property of practice. Failure taught you how to become the person who could survive it. That person is the asset. Level 7. Now you stand in a quieter light. The embarrassment settles into a strange wisdom. You still fail. You will always fail. But the failures are different now. They're experiments, not indictments. You measure progress in habits, in the people who stayed, in the small structures you made to catch mistakes. You write your future with fewer shortcuts. You trade quick applause for durable value. Your biggest failure isn't a headline anymore. It's a foundation. You learned discipline. You learned listening. You learned patience. And the world needs people who learned that the hard way. Here's what you can do tomorrow. Name one assumption that could be wrong. Run a tiny test to check it. Tell someone honest about what you're trying. Create one small safeguard. Repeat. Over time, those acts rearrange your destiny. Your failure was the crude gift. You refined it into a tool. Use it. Forgive yourself. Keep moving. You are the person who can turn an ending into a beginning. That is not luck. It is practice, and it's yours. Like and subscribe for more videos.